Hey, welcome in. This is episode 1 of our split screen podcast, Sports Edition. Today's episode, we're going to be joined by Dan, Andy, and John. We're going to talk about the team allegiance that we have from different programs. We have the NFL. We're going to have NCAA, college football, college basketball. We're also going to talk about MLB possibly throughout the year. We're also going to talk about the NBA and the different teams that we kind of associate with. So strap in. We'll get to it. So here we go. Everybody, welcome in. Good to see you. This is our first episode, introductory episode to Split Screen Sports Edition, if you will. I have, of course, Dan, Andy, John. How are we doing? How's everybody doing? All at once and go.
We're doing real.
I love it. Thank you. If you can't tell already, we have some of our allegiance already displayed in our background. Andy is a massive fan of everything blurred.
Private.
He's a blurred. Yeah, he's a private, keeping everything blurred. But we're going to talk about the teams that we kind of root for in different sports. We're going to talk about we're going to focus on college football a little bit today, just to celebrate the EA College Football 26 game that is released, I think, today for early access, and then actually fully releases on Friday. So a lot of good stuff coming up on this game in this podcast. So strap in. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff that we talk about anyways. So, Dan, let them know, if they can't already tell, where do you plant your flag when it comes to college football?
I plant my flag in a wonderful little town called Champaign-Urbana, which is home to arguably one of the greatest teams God ever put onto this country in all sports.
Hell yeah.
No, the Fighting Lion, the 25th overall best team in college football.
There you go. I love it.
18th best defense. One of the best left outside linebackers in the game.
There you go. All right.
Altmaier at quarterback still. So
that's right. Illinois is going to have strong. We'll get to that. I do want to talk about them. Andy, John's already kind of displaying it, but go ahead. Where's your allegiance lie? College football.
College football. Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
There it is. Hell yeah.
Always and forever.
Coming off a great season last year. Absolutely fantastic.
Made it to the national championship. Maybe one day they'll win one. While I'm alive.
There you go. Hell yeah.
That's
strong
right.
Case for that. John, you can say it, but
expectations this year.
Yep. You can say it, but who's your allegiance to college football? Let's hear it. Oh, you have a honorable mention.
Or
I mean, if you're banned,
honorable mention. You're right. Yes, I am a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. Born and raised in the area, so grew up the Irish fan. Went to the Blue Gold games as a kid.
Looked like the leprechaun.
In my younger
nice.
days, had a more fuller red beard, had a lot more red hair, and so the leprechaun persona did fit a little better, which is why a leprechaun bomb being the name there.
That works.
But I did marry my wife, her family. I did marry into a Michigan State family, and I want to clarify and just say that again: Michigan State, not Michigan.
Yuck.
Green and white, and I am okay with that.
With Dr. Nasser, you love him.
There's a mutual respect there, for the most part, between Notre Dame and Michigan State.
There you go.
And so that is acceptable.
Except when they play.
Except when we play. And the last time we did play, we were there, my wife and I. We did get to go to that game at Notre Dame, and Michigan State won that game, if I remember right. And it was the year that both teams were having good previous seasons, and then both teams just had a terrible. Yeah, I think it was 2017.
Is that
both teams were 4-8? Yeah. Just like what? and then the year after that, we went back to it, and it was the same with Michigan State. They had all the good years ahead of that, and then they just had that hiccup year, and then they went back to it. Now, of course, Michigan State, they're going down into the basement of the Big Ten. They're probably going to be there for a little while.
Yep, it expanded too. So,
the basement got deeper.
Yes, if you can't tell, I'm a Penn State fan. Ever since I was able to really just form my own opinion is really kind of how I looked into it. We all live in the general same area. I am a Notre Dame fan, if you will, for honorable mention, if you have to. I grew up a Notre Dame fan. My dad was an Ohio State fan. He grew up in Ohio. My mom grew up in this area. He moved, they met, got married, and they had me. So that's just the way it works. I don't know why. It was just one of those things. Maybe it was the entire atmosphere, whiteout, large, giant stadium, one of the biggest in the country when it comes to that. Just fell in love with it and been a fan ever since. There's been ups and down years, but yeah, that's where my allegiance kind of lies. That's where all of us, our general thing kind of goes for. What?
Do I get an honorable mention too then?
Do you have one?
Yeah, NIU.
Oh my God. That's right. I forgot about Garrett Wolf.
No, don't give him the honorable mention.
Yeah.
You shut up. You shush.
But that's where we kind of plant our flags, who we probably will talk about in depth if it comes to it, if there's a hot topic or some good news to discuss. Usually during the season, there's a lot. Off season, there's recruiting and things like that, which have been exciting for pretty much all of our teams, which is great. Really, really fun there. So we're going to focus on college football now. We'll get into the NFL when that starts picking up. We'll get into the NBA, even though that just ended. And I know it's a little bit of a heartbreak for some of us who live in this great state of Indiana. Game 7 was a tearjerker for some of us. Other of us plant our flag somewhere else, and that's okay. But college football, I want to get into it. I want to discuss maybe teams/coaches that might be on the clock. And you might be wondering, what the hell does he mean by on the clock? What I'm trying to get at is it's not like a hot seat. It's not, risk of being fired or or any of that. What it is for me and what I'm taking this as is teams on the clock or coaches on the clock means win now above all else, right? And it could be win now and you're going to see a great trend kind of for your program and everything like that. Given what you have and the talent around the teams, or it could mean you win now. And if you don't, you could start seeing the downward spiral of some of these classic programs that you've seen really that have performed really well over the years. So the first one I'm going to bring up, and it's Auburn. I want to talk about Auburn. So Auburn in 23 went 6-7. In 24, they went 5-7. That's not up to the par of what you're used to seeing with an Auburn team. Your Cam Newtons, those kind of things all back in the day, especially with, I think they had was that national championship year?
With Cam Newton, yeah.
Yeah. So and you've had the outstanding classics with in the Iron Bowl, right? With Alabama and those kind of things. So Hugh Freeze, their head coach, has been at the helm since the 23. They've got a pretty decent quarterback in Jackson Arnold. Do you think Auburn has a chance this year? Do you think that they need to kind of get back to it this year, or you're going to start seeing that drastic decline or that continued decline from 23 and 24 with their 6-7 and 5-7 records? Do you think that continues in 25? John, what do you think?
Well, I think much like I mentioned with Michigan State going deeper into the basement of the Big Ten, I think with the SEC, with them taking on Texas and Georgia, Texas and Oklahoma, with them coming into the SEC, that only just made the best conference in football even tougher. I'm not sure of their schedule, so I don't know if they, have to go through how many of those that they have to go through.
Well, I'll tell you, they have a 3-game stretch that is Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, and then at home Georgia. That's 3 weeks in a row. Sorry. There is a bye week in between the Texas A&M and Georgia game.
Okay. So, I got to think Auburn's probably going to be that mid. They're going to be mid.
You think so? Same kind of continued trend. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, I do. And Hugh Freeze he's a great coach. He's gotten the job done at places. He is a good coach. He knows what he's doing. Sometimes you're just, sometimes you're just, it just is what it is. And when you're in the SEC, that's sometimes as good as you can be. You just You take Auburn, you put them in another conference, they might run the table, but in the SEC, not going to happen.
Yeah.
You kind of in the same boat, Andy? You feeling the same way about Auburn?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're going anywhere higher this year. They're in the SEC, which is one of, if not the toughest conference in college football. And yeah, I mean, you haven't heard anything about them during the off season. You know what what reason would they have to do any better? 6-6, great. There you go. There's your success.
Right. Yeah. Dan, you kind of in the same boat as the other two? You think middle of the pack?
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess to be fair, like, and this is probably me, like Auburn was up, other than that, like Cam Newton era, like I wasn't even really aware of them as like a traditionally great school.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I know again that was probably me not being as in touch with the game as ever, but I feel like they really got up there as like, oh, they're a program, but it might have just been a blip on the radar. Like maybe this is what they are.
Maybe, yeah, I feel that, and especially in the SEC, right? Well, we can discuss this maybe on a different episode of the SEC versus the Big Ten. I don't think the SEC is what it used to be anymore, which is fine. I think now with the transfer portal, everything is spread out, which is great. I do want to point out there might be a bright future for Auburn. 2025 recruiting rankings, they were 8th. That's pretty good. That's pretty solid, right? That's pretty solid. And then even on top of that, their transfer portal, they kind of do by ranking. They were also 8th in the transfer portal last year. That's pretty good, right? So the future could be bright. We'll see what kind of impact these transfer portal players coming in are going to do. They were all 4 stars, but still, that's massive. If I go to the recruiting, they did have 1 5-star commit, and it's going to be a defensive lineman. He was the 4th best defensive lineman, 25th overall player in the year or in the country. So good stuff. They also, if you don't remember, they did flip a Notre Dame commit at quarterback, Deuce Knight. Remember that gentleman? I know you guys probably, it is what it is, right? It's water under the bridge. Water under the bridge. It is what it is, but
that's okay.
That's highly touted, right? But it did happen, right? And that's could lead. I'm sure I don't think he's going to start because I think they've already gave it to Jackson Arnold. But I think the future is bright for Auburn. I don't think it's this year, but I think it might be next year, right? The year after that, you start seeing the fruits of this recruiting class and hopefully, and going from there, especially with some of these other SEC schools kind of, I don't want to say falling by the wayside, but not as strong as they once were. Which kind of leads me into the next one, which is another SEC school I want to discuss and kind of talk to you guys about. Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, right? Takes over for Nick Saban. He's what, a couple years in? 1 year? 1 year. Only 1 year, right?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
To Alabama's standards, I think, right? Probably a little bit to be desired, I think, for the Alabama fans and what they're used to, right? I think that's kind of the biggest part there. But I think this is one of those teams that I discussed of what I meant by on the clock. And I think right now it's got to be win now, right? It has to be. I think their defense is absolutely stacked as it usually is. They're obviously killing it, I think, in recruiting when it comes to that kind of stuff. But what are your guys' expectations for Alabama this year? Dan?
I was not just necessarily this year, but you talked about after Nick Saban, like you had a kind of an unprecedented, like think like Bill Belichick, the Patriots, like you had like a unique scenario with a Hall of Fame head coach, right? In an era where the recruiting, he could stack what went on to be first round picks on his bench, right? Like, so I think Alabama people got accustomed to a certain way of life, right? When in reality, again, they cannot do that forever. It's impossible. Right. There's always going to be a breaking point. And I think that it's reasonable to be reasonable, them having some years where they're right on the edge of the playoffs or like get in the playoffs, they don't make it or whatever, like that should be good, right? Like they're not, but because I feel like they got spoiled, it's like, oh, we're not in the championship game. Like this is unacceptable.
Yeah, they missed the playoffs. Missed the playoffs last year.
Move, right? They're pulling a Bears move with Lovie Smith. 10-6, unacceptable. And then they went on to have 2 and 3 win seasons for the next decade.
Right.
So
true.
I think they have to level set their expectations because I think again, Alabama staying in the conversation is all you can expect.
Right. Andy, what do you got? What do you think? Alabama better, or do you think they make the playoffs this year?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I have to lean towards no.
Okay.
I don't really know what to expect from DeBoer. He did. I mean, he took Washington to a national championship. He brought the Indiana their best season um, in forever back in 2020. So he's certainly a good coach, but when you're talking about Alabama, who's had Nick Saban, who loses, maybe one game a year, the fans are going to want to win right now, and I see him going something like 9-3 again.
Mm.
Is that enough to make the playoffs? That remains to be seen.
Kind of depends on the rest of the league.
Yeah, it depends on the rest. I mean, I'm sure their defense is stacked. I feel like they always have a good defense, even if you don't know who half the guys are on it. They're good. They have Ryan Williams, of course, but then you have like who the heck's their quarterback? Is it going to be Ty Simpson, who played a game last year and was trash?
Right.
What about that? And I don't know about their halfbacks either. I'm sure they're probably good because they always have good halfbacks, but I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like it.
So I'm kind of in that like 9-3 range again.
Okay.
Just because of some of those question marks, especially at the quarterback position.
That's exactly where we live. So I'm very familiar with that 9-3, 10-2 realm. Before I get to you, John, I want to get, maybe this will change your outlook. They were 4th overall in recruiting last year for the 2025 recruiting, which is great. And they also have a 5-star quarterback, 5-star inside lineman, and a 5-star cornerback coming as well. So recruiting still happening. Still, people still want to play for the brand and play for Alabama and play for that school, which is great. Which is Keelan Russell, as you were mentioning who the quarterback is, which if they're going to go to a brand new young, freshman, or are they going to go with somebody who's a little bit more seasoned and whatever. So I don't know if that changes your outlook on that, John, but 4th overall in recruiting is pretty good. What do you got for Alabama?
They've earned the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
Over this past, almost 15 years, 16, 17 years. They have earned the benefit of the doubt. And I think that was, I think we got browbeat over the past couple of years with hearing that Alabama gets the benefit of the doubt. And last year they were left out of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That benefit of the doubt didn't serve them well. And I got to think if they continue to have fringe playoff seasons, then that benefit is going to finally start dwindling. If they obviously run the table or something like that and they're well into the playoffs, then I think it fuels it and the monster continues. Mm-hmm. But as long as they're fringe, as long as they're losing 2 or 3 games, I think that they are finally maybe starting to come back to earth with that.
That makes sense. I feel like I'm in the same boat as you. I don't think 9-3 and maybe in the playoffs works for that fan base, right? Which again, that sucks to say that because there's teams that would kill for that, right? Especially coming out of and going through the SEC. I mean, I was trying to look at their schedule. Florida State, they have Wisconsin, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, and then Auburn, of course, at the end of the year. That's a brutal schedule. Even their non-conference games. I mean, Wisconsin's not. That's not just a layup. It could be. I don't think it necessarily is as much as everybody thinks.
Yeah.
And then Florida State. Well, we'll see who and what they are after last year. But yeah, I don't know. That's still a gauntlet, right? I just absolutely, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Alabama can really turn around. Recruiting, they're showing they can get the players to want to play there. We'll see what they can do development wise and actually turning them into what they're used to. So we'll see what happens with them. But Alabama, I think, will be pretty okay. I think for the time being, until some of these classes come to fruition with the training and development there. Especially with you get a 5-star quarterback. That's a game changer for any program. So as long as they can perform and live up to it.
I just wanted to add that I think Alabama probably was going to get in that 12 seed until Clemson upset SMU last year. When they did that, they had to put Clemson in, and then they couldn't keep SMU out. And I believe Alabama may have been right outside of that in the final rankings.
They could have been dangerous too.
12.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did they deserve? They had some bad losses. Did they deserve to get in the playoff, even at a 12 seed? I didn't think so.
Right.
So
I agree.
But that's the way it is. Benefit of the doubt, like you said.
Right, for sure.
And if they would have been a 12 seed, wouldn't that that's what IU was, wasn't it? No.
IU was a 10 seed.
No. IU was a 10. Okay, yeah,
It's all brainwash, yeah.
Yeah, I have not seen that bracket in months.
Yep. Which leads me to another team, which I put on the list, which is my team. And I didn't do it because, it's my team. I did it because I think there is a good conversation around it. I think for me, and I haven't been this way yet, but for Penn State, James Franklin, I don't think he's on the hot seat. I don't think that's the case. I don't think you consistently go 10-2 and lose the games that you may or may not win, right? Against Ohio State.
Might be on the hot seat with fans, but within
the
university,
I think with yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, fans are kind of like, all right, something needs to change. But I'm one of those people. It's like
so bad.
Yeah, I'm one of those people where it's like, I'm almost scared to do that. Right? I'll take 10-2 again. People will kill for that. Teams will be like, holy shit, you're 10-2, and you're like, let's get this guy out of town. When you can't beat the consistently great programs, which is Ohio State, right? And it's always one thing or another. Granted, the last couple of years, games have been a lot closer. But they need to win the goddamn Big Ten. They just need to. For me, they have to win it. That starts there. Win the Big Ten. That's it. I say that's it. Like it's like as a small feat, but you know what I mean? They are set up absolutely perfectly. Last year, probably should have happened. Last year, probably should not have thrown a pick in the fourth quarter with a tie game, right? Probably shouldn't have.
It was fine by me.
Right. You too. Yes. I was watching the game. Like I know who I want to win, but I can't lose in this circumstance, which was pretty fantastic. Yeah. But this whole class with the Drew Aller at quarterback, he was touted 5-star quarterback. I think he was like the number 1 in that draft class. Recruiting class. You've got Nicholas Singleton, 5-star. You've got Katron Allen, 5-star running back. They've strengthened their receiver core this year. They did lose Tyler Warren, which was 80% of their production, I believe, through the air, which is insane.
Colts.
What's that?
He went to the Colts.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I can't wait to talk Colts NFL. That's going to be fun just because of everything going around there. But this has to be beat the teams that you need to beat, right? I think Penn State's recruiting has been top 15 for a number of years. But when it comes to their schedule, what is it? We play Ohio State, obviously, this year. I say we in the loosest terms, but we also play Oregon this year. We don't play USC. Don't play Michigan. So you've got, again, 2 games on the schedule that are like this, right? That are this. There should be like, or. They are great at winning the games they should win. They have yet to win a game that they either A, shouldn't, or they're equally matched to. And that's where that step has to be taken, especially this year. You've got seniors. If you don't do it now, it's going to be back to the drawing board, I think, and figuring out, okay, how do we regroup? So that's kind of how I look at it. They're set up perfectly this year. The defense is stacked again. They've got first round draft picks on offense and on defense. It's just at that point where it's like, you have no question marks. Now, your receivers. What's that?
I said, don't sleep on Indiana. Playing Indiana this year.
You don't seem sold on that.
I don't think I'm sleeping. I think I'm napping on Indiana. And I think that's rightfully so. Because when they did play somebody, they did get what they got. So I'm rooting for him, except that game. But and that sneaky fucking Iowa's in there too. Ugh, yuck.
Is it at Iowa?
Yeah, it's at Iowa. Yeah, it's an away game too. And I'm probably gonna put my money. I'm probably gonna bet Iowa that game. I'm probably gonna just bet whatever. Take out $100, throw it on Iowa to win the game, just because that's what they fucking do.
7-6 final score.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Let's hope not. If that's the case, Jesus Christ.
You don't like that. You don't like Big Ten football.
Yeah. But I don't know. What do you guys take? I would love to hear your take on what Penn State, what expectations you might have for them. You guys below, front row seat to kind of
dodging Illinois this year because they knew they almost lost last year.
It's true. That was a close game. Shouldn't have been that close.
I think what Dan absolutely loves to the Lovie Smith.
What?
Lovie, I know NFL is Bears, but he took his team to the Super Bowl, and then he goes 10-6, and the Bears are like, you know what? That's not.
We're gonna hire Mark Trestman. You get out of here.
Him. And where have the Bears been since then? The absolute
working on stuff. We're working on it.
They've been working on stuff.
Yeah.
It is an absolute valid fear, literally fear of if Penn State was to be like, you know what, James Franklin, you're not getting the job done, so we're gonna go get somebody who can.
Can they?
They're gonna go hire a CFL coach. They're gonna hire a CFL coach.
Yeah, dude.
And then they're gonna get you
the blueprint is there.
Yeah.
You guys upgraded your facilities too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, and the money is there. The Penn State donors and NIL. Yeah, it's one of the biggest NILs in the country.
Yeah.
So the money's there. Now that that's part of the conversation,
right?
The money's there to get the players. The talent is there. It has to be done. And James Franklin can do it. He just needs to do it.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. Andy, what do you got? What do you think? Go ahead, John. Sorry, continue.
I just real quick, looking across in the Big Ten, if I'm excusing myself as a Notre Dame fan, and also acknowledging that Michigan State's in the basement. I'm tired of Ohio State winning and winning and winning and winning and winning it, because locally here where we live, all the people that are Ohio State fans, I'm just sick and tired of them, and they say the same thing about us as Notre Dame fans. And it's like,
you're the worst.
But really, where have we been since the late frickin' 80s?
And that's what we're tired of hearing. This year's our year. We're winning a ship. You've been saying that since the 80s.
My heart would love for Penn State to be up there, to get that job done. Get Ohio State out of here. Get Michigan out of here. Give Penn State a run.
Give Illinois a run. Give Rutgers a run.
And I don't want to. And I think at that point, I feel like last year was a good step. Granted, it was laid out perfectly, right?
Yeah.
They were supposed to beat those teams, right? Except when they came to, again, an evenly matched team, they dropped the ball. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. Granted, that was the first time I think it's been a mental player error versus being out coached, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first time I saw that, where it's like, okay, this game is in hand. And then you take that one mistake and you're like, fuck, there it goes, right? That ball didn't need to be forced, which I don't want to talk about anymore. But I think I'll go dream or have a nightmare later. But I think, Penn State is set up again, like some of these other teams. Alabama has a lot of talent. Penn State's set up perfectly to win this year, right? They just have to get over that hump, and that's kind of what we're waiting on.
And anybody that says that James Franklin can't get it done, the Penn State kid, they can't do it. Like, you're doing a disservice to them, and you're fooling yourself, because it's a game of inches, and it sometimes games just come down to one or two plays, and
I thought you were about to give us that Any Given Sunday speech, John. I was getting hyped.
Yeah, run through a wall.
It's a game of inches, gentlemen.
Yeah. So
the inches we need. No.
the next team I've got, I have two more, and we'll probably just speed them up a little bit. Is Clemson. I want to talk about Clemson because Clemson is arguably probably has the best, depending on Arch Manning, the best quarterback, probably in Klubnik, right? I could be wrong. I don't know, but they're saying that a lot, so we'll see.
I keep hearing people say that, but I haven't seen it.
Right, and that's what I think is maybe that is his step. But I don't know. Clemson seems like they're one of those. They're also set up at least definitely to make the playoffs because of what they play in the conference they play in, I think. I don't know. What should we expect from Clemson? Dan, what do you think?
I don't even know, honestly. Like, they seem to be kind of all over, right? They're one of those teams where, like, they can be in a game randomly and look like dominating, and then the very next week just look like it's their first time playing football. So they're a hard one for me. I don't really know where to peg it.
Yep. They will probably be in the ACC championship game. It's probably a good bet that they'll be there. Is Dabo still refusing to go into NIL, or has he finally? I know for the longest time he was like, he was against NIL.
He wasn't using the portal at all.
Yeah, it was the portal.
The portal, not NIL. Yeah, it's the portal.
I did quick browse through the top 50. I'm not seeing Clemson anywhere in here.
Yeah. I remember it was a big old thing about, because Dabo was like, nope, that's not how we're doing it here. He's not a portal guy. That's not how you're going to get to Clemson, is through the portal.
Which he is okay. So he's 17th in the ACC, which is last in the portal. So he's still doing that. Well, no, he had a transfer from one from Alabama, Purdue, and the Raging Cajuns.
But if a transfer from Alabama shows up, are you going to be like,
Yeah, you're like, I don't know if we want you.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it is what it is. But I think, we'll see. I think that's a weird hill to live on or die on, I guess, either way. But Clemson, I think if I go to their, Andy, give me your take before I get into their schedule.
Clemson is very much an anomaly, especially ever since Brent Venables left.
Okay.
Brent Venables was their defense. Well, without Venables, their defense has been all over the place. It was great one week, and it's absolute trash for 3 straight weeks. And, Dabo talked about the whole transfer portal thing. Very strange. As a coach, I think he's okay, not great. I think he's kind of gotten carried by some of the great players that he's had. Can Cade Klubnik do that? I don't think so. But
what a name! Sorry, that's a Cade Club nick.
yeah, but that we'll see. I don't I don't know. I'm sure they have other great players. I'm not a Clemson guy. Um, I always root against Clemson generally. Um, yeah, I think they're again the ACC. It's just
They're set up, man. They're
fairly
set
weak.
up.
It's fairly weak, so I could see them going like 9-3 again and making that ACC championship, just like last year.
Yeah,
Just
right.
because
Exactly.
they play like doo doo, find a way to win, end up with a record like 9-3, and they're there. That's
Yep.
all it takes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, I mean, well, you're going to find out, I think, who they are the first game of the year, which is LSU.
They are who we thought they were.
Which is LSU. It's a night game at home, granted. So it's not in Death Valley, but you're going to find out who Clemson is week 1, right? I think that's kind of, you're either going to find out who they are or what trajectory they're going to be on for the year.
Both of those teams would just lose, just show up on the field and just be like,
I mean, Brian Kelly, yuck.
Team Meteor.
And then the last team I have here is also a team we equally, I think, dislike. I could be wrong. USC and Lincoln Riley.
That was the first team that popped into my mind when you brought this up.
Yeah, USC is, I think they're in again, I don't know if he's in a hot seat, but I think the USC they've recruited well. They've recruited extremely well. That's something I wanted to actually look up is they're in the Big Ten, which is wild to say. 15th in 2025 as far as recruiting, which is good. You know what I mean? They got the number 4 quarterback, Husan Longstreet, which is a fantastic name. So, I mean, the talent they're still recruiting well. Lincoln Riley kind of fell. I think they kind of had question marks at the quarterback position, right, last year. Caleb Williams leaving, obviously, for the draft. Left a big, giant hole there. But USC, what do you think? You think they actually come back this year? Or do you think they're going to fall to the wayside due to the strength of their schedule and the people they have to play?
I think they're one of those teams that you could have put in that have to win now kind of thing. They haven't had I mean, I know it's not even under the same head coach, but they've not been consistently competitive like for a stretch of years now.
I don't think being in the Big Ten does them any favors.
No.
I'm going through their schedule. It looks like we have Illinois, week 5.
Game 1 loss, or there's a game loss right there for them.
Michigan, we'll see who they are and what they bring to the table. Then Notre Dame.
Between the two of them.
At Notre Dame this year.
At Notre Dame. We'll see about Nebraska. Yeah. We'll see about Nebraska and what they have, because they had a freshman quarterback, right? A lot of
every year, the first 5-6 weeks of the season, Nebraska, everybody starts jumping on the is Nebraska back train.
Exactly.
I've been to Nebraska a bunch, and guess what? They're not back. There's nothing going on down there.
And then
for the season, they're back.
Yep. And then they play Oregon at the second to last week of the season. So, I mean, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 question marks, I think, on their schedule, right? Depending on the talent and what they bring to the table. So, we'll see. I don't
lose all 5 of those question marks.
Yeah, we don't know who Nebraska is if they reloaded. I know they're talented. We don't know what Michigan's going to bring in Bryce Underwood as well. For that guy, we'll see. I don't know if he's starting. I would assume he's going to start. I probably would start him, but
if the Pac-12 was still correctly, I'm going to say conferenced. I know it's not a word, but if we all know what I mean. If everything, we used to be a civilized country with the way the conferences were geographically ordered. If we're talking the Pac-12 that we know and remember and love, there's probably Oregon and USC, probably between the two of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's 100% fair.
The best or second best in that conference. And now they go in, now they're here in the Big Ten where they're going to be middle of the pack probably for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, you're not wrong. 100%. But I do think it brings
and to Lincoln Riley's detriment, possibly.
Right. You could have been touting your record if the Pac-12 was what it was, but now you're in more of a competitive free for all, if you will, which I think is accurate.
And I'm here in the Midwest, we always like to puff our chests and talk about Midwest football. You come over here into Indiana and you play in the snow and all that. I'm not coming from that angle. I'm coming from Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. IU's coming up, Illinois is coming up. I mean,
you didn't even mention Oregon.
Didn't even, and then you're bringing Oregon from the Pac-12, and they immediately have taken over.
Yeah.
So it's just that's the straw that USC drew. They
exactly.
just drew a short straw.
Oh man!
But I'm not mad about that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we're good. You can stay in the middle of the pack. It'd be great.
Whatever.
Which it's not. The fan base is what it is. We're not. It's just team wise. It's not.
Yeah.
We're sick of some of the teams, and for USC, I think that's just obviously a Notre Dame rival.
That's another school that is used to winning and wants to get back to their winning ways.
Right.
But if we're being honest, my God, it's been probably between 15 and 20 years since USC has been like in serious national championship contender. Right. And we're talking the Reggie Bush era. Like, yeah, they were good, but ugh.
Yeah, right.
Pete Carroll times.
Yeah, Pete Carroll was a big. Yeah, that's his is very aggressive chewing of gum. I mean, we'll see USC again. I think you're probably looking at 5-6 when it comes to expectations for the Big Ten. I think, right? Somewhere in that range. So which is not near the top really. Granted it is deeper now, but
if you're a USC fan, that is absolutely not acceptable.
Right.
But that is the damn reality for a USC fan.
Yep. 100%. So yeah, that rounds out the teams that I kind of wanted to discuss. Do you guys have anybody who you might think is like on the clock, quote unquote, who has to win now? I mean, Notre Dame, do you feel like they're kind of in that book, or do you comfortably seeing, hey, we're building something for consistency year over year, kind of we're here to be here and this is what we're doing? Do you guys feel that way?
I mean,
I was gonna let Andy go first. Yeah, go for it.
With Notre Dame, there's always kind of a win now, but just like with some of the schools, they have a more they have an approach of being able to wait longer than the fans. That's why the fans are the coach or the school, the people that hire them. I don't have any, sense that it's win now, all or nothing. Even though we made the national championship last year, we got CJ Carr coming out there, never friggin' hardly played in a game. And we got a great team surrounding him. So I certainly hope he can come out and ball out and we can win all of our games. But if he takes some time to get used to it and we lose a game or something, I can't say I'll be upset. So I don't feel that way about Marcus Freeman. I'm sure others do, because they always do. We go 10-2 with Brian Kelly or whatever and be like, fire Brian Kelly.
You know what's funny? I heard today, when Nick Saban was 39, he was the head coach at Toledo. He wasn't even like Nick Saban yet. You know what I mean? But Marcus Freeman is 39 and he has been to the national championship. Right. So like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a wild thing. It's like, if he sets himself up to be consistent, you know what I mean? They're recruiting well. The 2026 is fucking first, I think. the recruiting for 26 so far? Fourth
at this moment.
You're fourth right now.
It always goes that way.
Yeah. So fourth, which is crazy, which is good, right? So, and 25, it was 12th, right? So, I mean, there's talent being brought in. That's just the way it works, which is great. I don't think it needs to be the win now mentality. I just don't. I don't think that's the case. And we'll have to see, because it's a big year to come off of. But you have a question mark this year of who our quarterback is going to be. Can he perform at a consistent level? Nobody believed it. I don't think anybody going into the season thought Riley Leonard was going to be it. And man, dead ass wrong. That dude was it. He's a dog. Absolutely. So we'll have to see. I don't know.
It took him a while.
Yeah. But he also wasn't the focus, which I think is a good thing. You still are focused on your offensive line. You're still focused on your run game, right? You're still focused on your defense, keeping you in games. So I think that is a recipe to win, I think. So you're not focused on
this year.
Right. You're not focused on CJ Carr coming in and having to win you games, which is fine. What do you got, Dan?
Quick note on the recruiting rankings. I know it's a little early, but Penn State currently number 1 for 2027. So
2020.
Also,
what?
Yeah. Also in 2026, I just like to point out Illinois is above IAU, and even Maryland or even Minnesota is. So Tubby Smith down at the barn, John.
Tubby Smith.
Yeah, that was what John used to do his press conferences. Andy, come on.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
Aside from being a Notre Dame fan, living in Big Ten country, it is very exciting. It was very exciting with Indiana being as good as they were last year, and I really hope that they can build on that.
I would cheer for them any other year.
I mean,
any other year, but Illinois has a good year, and Indiana's like, no, for the first time in a century, we're going to go out and be just a tiny bit better. They couldn't let us have it. Assholes.
So true. Oh man.
Yep. Yeah. It was. I'm big on that cool, cocky persona. So long as you're able to back it up. And Kurt Cignetti, he came in and he kicked that door down.
Yeah, sorry, we were busy. We win football games and then they lost.
He's like, Google me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yes. Then they, Notre Dame was on a mission last year. We were in that sweet spot with the 5 seed. The way the bracket. What I do remember of the bracket, all 4 of the 5, 6, 7, 8, those home teams that got to host a game at their school. They all won their game, so I think that created a hey, this is actually a really good thing, a sweet spot to be there at 5. Obviously, it worked out wonderfully for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame was the 7 seed.
You're right.
Sweet spot number 5, baby.
You don't remember the bracket.
Oh man,
Ohio State was the 5.
Ohio State was the 5 seed.
The sweet spot.
Penn State was 6. Notre Dame was 7, and
Tennessee.
Don't wiggle.
No, Tennessee went. Tennessee
was 9.
Rocky Top,
Tennessee
John.
was 9.
Yeah, the other.
Tennessee went to Ohio State. Ohio State was the 8 seed. Yeah.
We got there. Yeah, you might. Yeah, burn it into your brain.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh man.
We're going to be referencing it, so I might as well pull it up so that I don't embarrass myself. But anyway, the 5 through 8 was a sweet spot.
Yeah, I agree.
Particularly number 7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. There we go. I knew it was coming around.
Number 5, but what?
Good save.
Oh man, good
8,
deal.
Depending on who you're at, where you finish.
Kind of leading into next week's episode. Do you guys give a shit about preseason rankings?
Not really. I don't put too much stock in them.
I wish they didn't exist.
Interesting. Okay. So how do you, we could talk about it next week and kind of your approach and what your approach would be to that, but they're always a fun talking point, but I don't really give them much weight because look at Florida State. You know what I mean? Look at Florida State. It's like, oh great. Look at them. And you won 2 games. Yeah.
They nailed it.
2 and 10.
Yeah. So they're, I think, a fun talking point. I don't think there's any officially released. You're going to have people's way too early. obviously numbers and things like that. But it could be a fun thing to look at and talk about. I also maybe we'll talk about our way too early college football predictions. Maybe we'll go conference champions. We'll see. But other than that, this has been the introductory episode to our split screen sports edition. If you're into video games or anything, we also have a video game podcast that we put out weekly as well. So we'd love for you to.
Video games are talked about.
Yeah, we have one wild crossover, which is EA Sports College Football, which we may be doing. Which we may be doing our own split screen little dynasty that we might keep you up to date on. We haven't decided if we're going to do it here, if we're going to do it on the video game podcast, because guess what? They're the same thing. So we'll see what happens. But we appreciate everybody. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. This is our first episode. And stay tuned for next week. We'll hop into it. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.